Okay, great, but I just have to announce that this meeting is being recorded, and what is today's date? September 10th, 2024, and it's the steering committee for the Open Space and Recreation Plan. Okay.
Thank you. So just going through the agenda, thought we'd start off first with just a quick round of introductions so I know who's here. I'm representing the steering committee, and then I like to incorporate an icebreaker as part of those introductions. And so specific to why we're all here, what are your favorite open spaces in town? And then what are some needed improvements within those spaces, if there are any?
We're going clockwise?
Yeah, sure. No, it's a bit generic with the park. I don't know about improvements. Get rid of some of that gravel, pave it.
And what was your name?
Brendan. Oh yeah, Brendan from the planning board.
I'm Ryan Tully. I'm from the Recreation Commission. I've been a member for just under 2 years. I really have discovered Camp Alice Carlton recently because of hearing about it being brought up in select board meetings, and actually rode my mountain bike through there one day. So I'm just interested in seeing what can be done with that space if it's taken up by recreation. That's kind of a big reason why I was interested in joining this committee too. Was just interested in that space because there's not a lot of woods in this town anymore. So that's what I grew up in. So I like the woods.
Okay, Kathy Keep, I'm Assistant Town Administrator. I like Colebrook Boulevard, one of my favorite places to go on my lunch hour, and we are actually seeking a grant to extend that little boulevard across the street to go behind a baseball field. And I think it will end up hitching up with the cul-de-sac on Lakeview. So I just think it probably needs some maintenance. A lot of, there are like duck droppings, and if we could just maybe clean that up a bit.
Great. My name is Leanne McKenzie. I'm here representing the Conservation Commission tonight. I would say my favorite open space is the town park as well. Just great to walk. Love the playground with the kids. And, no real top of mind improvements, but, would love to see the playground kept up and improved, upgraded over the years to come.
I have no opinion.
But you do have a name.
Oh, sorry. Laurie Muncy. I'm the Director of Comprehensive Planning and Sustainability at Old Colony Planning Council. I'll be working with Jason on this plan.
And Jason DeRozier, Senior Planner for Housing and Public Engagement, Project Lead for the Open Space and Recreation Plan. I live in town, which, I think is a reason why I'm excited to work on this, because working on a plan in a community in which you live in, I think has some additional value and benefits that come from it. And I don't know. Also, the town park, I suppose. My dog really likes it. So if my dog likes it, I like it too. So thank you all for that. And so on the PowerPoint, if you want to go to page, and they're not numbered, but it's going to be the previous goals and objectives after you get through all of the data. I'll number these next time. It looks like this
It's
right
almost
here.
at the end.
Yeah, towards the end. These are previous goals and objectives that were identified based on the 2004 master plan and the 1987 and 2000 open space and recreation plans. So it's been a while since there's been an active open space and recreation plan. So my goal here is to review these with you all, identify what to keep for the 2024 plan, what is sort of like what's been worked on, what's been done, what's no longer relevant, what needs to drop off, and then what should be added as a priority for the new plan. And so this is where we sort of workshop and brainstorm the policies and goals and initiatives that we're looking for the next open space recreation plan. That's what, 5 to 7 years? 7 years. So looking forward a little bit. So the first one is to better maintain, manage, and develop open space and recreation resources. Key objectives is the development of Hobart Pond swimming area, improved access and signage to increase use of existing spaces, an upgraded town park, strengthened historical character. So rather than going through all of them at once, we'll just go like number by number because there's 7 of them. So the key objectives for that first, is that still a goal to better maintain, manage, and develop open space and recreational resources? And are those key objectives still relevant, or are there any that need to drop or be added?
They all look relevant to me, even small doses.
To me too.
Have you done any development work at Hobart Pond swimming area already from the last plan? Like, have you done any improvements or anything?
Not to my knowledge, Laurie. No.
Okay,
No.
good to know.
No.
This might be easy.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know there was ever swimming at Hobart Pond. Is that
So I'll preface this by saying this came from a colleague of mine, Alyssa, who found this information based off of the master plans. We have not been able to really locate the 2000 master plan, open space recreation plan. So you have it.
I have one too. Yeah.
So is there any way I can get a
It took
copy
a
at
long
some
time
point,
to find it.
just so I'm not starting from scratch? Okay.
That's a blessing right there.
$60 to run it off on the Xerox.
'Cause I emailed
Scanned it
someone
from
from
me.
the state, and they also didn't have access to it. So you're going to be my best friend. Okay.
Extra in my
Yeah,
top
yeah,
too.
best ones.
I might.
Okay.
We have
So
to track it down.
we'll have a copy. So
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be awesome. So that, have you looked through the objectives from the last plan or
I'm
anything?
so sorry. No.
That's
The
fine.
answer's no.
That's what we're doing tonight.
Square one here.
Yep. And I would guess that if no one knew where the plan was, that really no one implemented it. But I'm just guessing.
I would put some stock into that guess.
Fair
Yes.
assumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we should be able to go through these relatively quickly. If you guys find anything that is no longer a priority, definitely point that out.
Okay.
I just have a question based off of, because this can mean many things to different people. Obviously, an upgraded town park is straightforward. What is your take on strengthened historical character?
Well, so we do have a historical commission that just received a grant, a $40,000 grant actually, and they are going to be working with identifying properties that would then get plaques to designate the year built. So we have an active historical commission. So I think it's strong.
And those are for structures.
Those
Are
are
you-
for, yes, homes.
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 Are you doing any sites as well? Historical sites?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I could give you the contact number. Mary Joyce
Mhm.
is the chairperson of that commission.
That'd be
You
awesome.
could reach out with her, and she's very knowledgeable.
And we will download the list of historical sites from the state.
Nice.
So maybe you can go over that with her, and then if she wants to do that, they can pick out which sites to
Right.
actually plaque.
Right.
Sorry, I'm stepping all over your meeting.
Oh, that's fine. You actually reminded me of a note I had to take for later. So number 2, linking Whitman's open space with that in surrounding communities. Key objectives here was integration with Abington's Strawberry Valley Golf Course, extension of Flaherty Trail into East Bridgewater, and any possible enhanced connections to Brockton's Washburns Meadow.
Strawberry Valley is probably a kind of a tough sell. It's private property. I don't know the laws around it, but I imagine that it's not just there's probably fees. It's probably costly, I would think. Or costly enough that it's too much.
Can I ask, when we say linking, are we talking physical linkage? What are we talking about when we say linking to a surrounding community?
Usually trails
Okay.
or
so,
pedestrian connections.
yeah, okay.
Is Flaherty Trail the one off Auburn Street?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, thank
East
you.
Bridgewater to here. Oh, I get it. Where-
Because Albert Street goes to does override.
I got lost that way once.
Flaherty Trail. Where? Donald Flaherty Trail. 0.7 mile out and back trail through the woods and along wetlands. Features.
We're currently doing a Mass Trails program with
Ooh.
the state to map
it's the
all
one
the
off Auburn
trails
Street.
on GIS. So we'll find out if they've done this trail, and if
Okay.
not, we'll get them on it to map that one.
I
And then,
remember as a kid just always being disappointed at how short it was.
really,
Go in there thinking you're going on an adventure and then just had to turn the heck aside.
so it doesn't go anywhere. The Flaherty Trail.
No, it just kind
Just-
of.
It's in out. It's sort
In
of like like a green alley way. So that one looks like it might be still of interest. Looking at and exploring possible enhanced connections to the Washburns Meadow is probably still something that should be looked
And
into.
I don't know where that
I don't
meadow
know.
is either.
Sure.
We'll have to look at that as well.
And I'll have to once I get a copy, I'll review these specifically and sort of send out executive summary of what these mean beyond just a bullet point.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'll redo my homework.
Development might have gotten in the way of anything like
yeah.
Washburn because that whole area is.
The townhouses are over there now.
Yep,
Yeah,
there
by
it
the-
Across
is.
from the dealership, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they jammed a bunch of
Duplexes.
townhouses and they kind of paved through it for extra roads for access. And so
So what any potential integration is probably
I'd say
no
off
longer
the table.
feasible
Mm.
because of the townhouses. Okay. Number 3, better protection of water bodies and aquatic habitat. Key objectives: completing bare meadow acquisitions, stream side acquisition and access improvement where possible, and peat hole access improvement. Any of that sound familiar?
Nope.
no, it
Not to
doesn't.
me. Nope.
Does the town of Whitman own Bear Meadow?
Bear Meadow.
So we have, I think we may have some contamination on Bear Meadow. I can look at that. Yeah,
Could it be a brownfield?
it may,
Because we're doing that brownfield site survey.
we are,
So maybe.
we are. I have Nick,
Yep.
and Tracy working on that.
Yep.
Yep,
Good.
so yep.
I thought it was basically like a swamp.
Yeah, yeah,
Low level, it's always murky.
yeah, I can, yeah.
And we'll know more once we get a look at your plan.
And so let me ask you this, I don't know, is peat hole a proper name or is it a noun? What is a peat hole?
Is it a filler or a place? Right? Yeah,
Do we know? Oh, no.
I have no idea.
No, no, we don't know.
Okay.
P.
But that I bet you'll be in your plan as well. So
Oh,
once we
yeah,
can
so
read
that,
that,
of
we'll
course.
have a better idea of what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
Because all of this is really new to both of us.
So Peat Hole Pond Conservation Area
Oh.
is a nature reserve in the town of Abington, Plymouth, Massachusetts. Peat Hole Pond Conservation Area is situated close to the hamlet West Abington and the town of Whitman. And so it's
It'd be on Pine Street.
it's a conservation area that
Oh.
looks between, it's like in the triangle between sort of like Temple, Bedford, and Brockton Ave.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. And so what are we concerned about with that? Oh, an access improvement. Hey. I'd say, yeah.
So providing more
If it's a
connections
thing,
and more
yeah.
access to
Yeah.
these green
Is
spaces.
this? I think it's behind those people that have the horses.
Oh,
at the corner of
okay.
Walnut Street and Bedford Street where it splits off.
All right.
And like I said, I'll look into all of these.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Obviously. Number 4, expanded open space and recreation holdings. And so this is more holdings for the town for open space and recreational use and activities. Key objectives: provide some usable open space in or on edge of all the neighborhoods. And so I think this is really focusing on making sure that people who live in town have access to usable open space in and around their communities.
I would say yes.
And create more pocket parks and tot lots serving all ages. So again, sort of expanding
Yeah.
creative uses of green spaces. Number 5, preservation of Whitman's visual and historic character. Key objectives: preserve scenic, open, such as non-forested areas, farmland, and ecologically significant areas, and preserve historic landscapes and places of the heart, which is generally a planary term for places that make you feel something or that are provide some sort of connection to
Right.
people.
I'm kind of wondering if we need actual site locations. This seems very esoteric, this number 5. It's almost like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll look at that and
Kind of merges right in with the historical piece too.
the designation and all that.
The last 2, 6 is preserve and enhance wildlife resources. The key objective here is preserved and enhanced greenways or ecological linkages between habitat areas to provide sort of pathways or pipelines for habitat areas so animals can traverse. I've heard of, not that this would be on Whitman's plan, but there are communities that are looking at green bridges over roadways to provide safe crossing for animals during migration seasons and those sorts of things.
Do you guys have identified greenways in town? Like sometimes they're named actually, like the Rose Kennedy.
I'm going to say negative.
Yeah. None that you
I
that
don't
you
think
have,
so.
Right.
because that'll be one of the big questions on the plan. Connectivity in fragmented habitats. So you don't have.
And then lastly, provide recreation opportunities for all ages and abilities, interest groups, key objectives, develop walking trails with steps or handrails in key areas, increased handicapped accessibility, such as removing obstructions to otherwise level Flaherty Trail, for example, and provide safe but challenging non-intrusive opportunities for rollerblading and skateboarding. Those all seem to be pretty still relevant.
I would say.
Yes.
All right. So after reviewing all these, is there anything here that's not listed that you think should be included as either a new goal, or are there any objectives you think need to be added to these main core areas?
Like we were talking about earlier, just like tagging specific places to some of these objectives. Like I would think in 7, as with talking about walking trails and stuff like that, like including Camp Alice Carlton in that subject line.
Actually, I'm wondering if maybe next meeting we should bring a map to point and identify.
And also, this is an unfortunate also, but based on the age of this and reading through these, it's pretty clear that a lot of what may have been a goal has either been built on or encroached upon. So that's why some of us are kind of like, what the hell is that? Things, may exist in name only at this point. So I think that's a good idea, is identifying targets versus plucking at areas that are, either no one knows anything about it or are just a nothing at this point.
Yeah, so I guess my sort of specific ask then is like, what are those areas that you all sort of work with and understand, both in terms of like being sort of like in your roles in the town, being community members, folks who utilize these spaces, what are those areas that should be sort of like targeted for maintenance, improvement, expansion, integration, like those sorts of things?
Preservation.
Preservation.
I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
It's a good homework assignment.
You know, I mean, what we spoke about earlier, the park, the boulevard, I think, I don't think there was ever swimming at Hobart's Pond.
I think
I'm very
not
confused
also.
about that.
Yeah.
Um,
That might have been a wish list way back.
Good then.
yeah.
I don't know. It might be like the Charles River. People swim
I
in
know,
there,
I've
but maybe
done
it's
that.
not widely, you know.
This thing with the Olympics.
Um,
So now, can I back you up, Jason? So I do not use Facebook, but I understand there's a survey out on the town.
Yes.
Has the response been, have you had much response?
Yes. I do have that here in the
Okay.
agenda, so I can either jump ahead.
No.
Or
I'll let you do
wait,
your
but
thing.
yes,
It was just,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in between now and the next meeting, which is a while from now, and I'll go over sort of the schedule and the timeline with you in a little bit. But maybe within the next 2 weeks, so I know it's a busy time for everybody. If you just want to sort of think about this, and if you're out and about,
Yes.
you know, in your work and talking to people in these spaces, if you see something that would be a valuable goal or objective to sort of institutionalize as part of this open space recreation plan, email us to me, just so I can keep a running list, which will also be generated through the survey, which I'll talk about later. But you know, if you're in the park and notice that, you know, oh, it'd be great if this gravel was brought in and paved, or, you know, extended
shovel
walking
for it or
trails,
whatever.
or
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Those
right.
will come up. So feel free to email me those.
Huge indoor pool.
Pickleball's a big one. Just as
Well, the
FYI.
noise, though,
I know that's a big problem, and they have
it is a big problem.
MMA in January. They had a display where they had some type of soundproofing for pickleball, and I'm like, oh, never thought of that.
People can't sell their homes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd be,
Got to be mindful about where you're putting those now.
yes.
Justin wanted to build one, didn't he?
Did he?
Every meeting that I've gone to and done an open space plan, that's the number one request from the towns. Like
Oh, everyone's pickleball.
everyone's pickleball, and I've never
Indoor
done it
pool
myself.
And
but-
indoor pickleball.
Yeah.
So, next we're going to review the roles and responsibilities of the Open Space and Recreation Plan Steering Committee. So, essentially, we will need a chair and a vice chair of this committee. Is that required by the state
I mean,
requirements?
there's 4 of it. No, it's not required by the state. There's
well-
a very small committee here, so.
And there's a couple of members not here. What I will say is, if anyone doesn't necessarily want to be a formal chair or a vice chair, if anyone just wants to work closely with me to sort of like, you know, move this process forward, have sort of like additional folks sort of like in leadership, that's appreciated. But we don't need to have like technical like roles like chair, vice chair.
Okay, good. Yeah, we don't have a full set.
We can do that when you're.
That's what I was going to say. We can wait and see if other people that accepted to be here
Have an interest.
show up,
Right,
and then we can talk about it at next meeting, whether or not they do or not. You know,
right.
because I like having a chair and a vice chair just because.
Do you have any interest, Brandon?
Absolutely not.
And if you can get email
But
contacts for those
I will.
other members.
I will accept it if other people
You have-
don't show up and we end up wanting it.
Okay. I think you may be good at it, so just saying. How about you, Ryan? Any interest in?
as long as it's not a big responsibility of like driving the agenda,
Thank you,
because
Mr.
I have dyslexia, so I'm really bad at like reading a lot of information out
I
loud to
gotcha.
people.
Yep, okay.
Especially in a public setting, because I get nervous, and then
Yep.
instead of saying chandelier, I say chandelier, and
Okay. All right, so that might not be the role for you then.
Well,
yeah.
I don't necessarily. I think that there could be in terms of like not having Ryan necessarily like create the agenda, but like working with me to identify like what are the agenda items, right?
Yeah.
And not necessarily
I would
having
be fine
to
with that kind of role, yeah.
facilitate the meetings or like move that forward, but sort of like it's just making sure that there is a connection beyond OCPC to this work, and that there's a I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, a spirit that this is a collaborative process versus this is the Jason process.
Right. So we do have to
Yeah.
post our meetings with an agenda. Do you folks do that?
No.
You don't.
No.
Right. Okay. So there's no requirement on your organizations.
Just you guys.
Yeah. So and so let me ask you, Leanne, are you a substitute or are you a possible permanent?
We'll see. I'm going to speak with the rest of the commission. I'll definitely see if there's interest in a chair or vice chair position. I'll get back to you
So
all.
I'm asking, are you interested yourself in becoming a member? So she's pinch hitting here
I
tonight.
am. I'm certainly very interested in what is looking at to be accomplished here, so I'd love to stay involved. But I am
Okay.
technically a substitute this
Okay.
evening, so
All right. Good. Yeah.
let me
All right.
check with my commission, and we'll get back right with you.
I'm a big tent kind of person anyway, so the more the merrier. Different perspectives, I think, is
Good.
valuable.
Yes. Great.
Great. So I did print out 2 copies of the timeline,
Good.
draft timeline. Just pass that around for folks. The purple section are OCPC tasks, and ideally the green are things that the sort of you all, the steering committee, would help lead. And so,
Yeah.
not having a copy in front of me, the most of the tasks that are for OCPC, I think I can talk most of the time about is around sort of doing the writing of the plan, the research, doing the land inventory and sort of tables and all of the sort of the technical work. Where I would like to lean on the steering committee a little bit is to, help schedule meetings, assist with ADA assessments. And so as part of the open space plan, you're required to do an ADA assessment, an accessibility assessment of all of the town-owned recreation and open spaces. I did bring a sample of what that ADA assessment looks like. They are to be filled out by hand. And all these spaces need to be completed. I assisted my colleague Rhiannon and Lori on one of Island Grove in Abington. So most of that is not ADA accessible, just by nature of what it is. So if things like if there are no public restrooms or water fountains or those things, you just cross it off, right? Non-applicable. But you have to measure. You have to look at like the gradient, sort of the surface. Is it gravel? Is it paved? Is it grass? Are swimming areas ADA accessible? Just so we have those. And so if anyone from the steering committee is interested in joining me to do those ADA assessments, that'd be appreciated. Lots of hands make small work, I suppose. And so if there are folks that want to go out and help me with the park or Memorial Field shouldn't take a long time because it's the football field and I think a soccer field. And sort of school playgrounds. Do we need to do those, Lori?
Yeah, but they usually know what they want or need, like accessible bandstands.
So
Things
just email the
like
school.
that. I would ask the school. Usually they have a list. And if not, then you could visit the field and do an assessment. But I noticed the schools kind of have an idea of wish
About
lists.
ADA needs and wish list. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone, I'm looking to do those in October and November while the weather is still somewhat nice.
Okay.
Most of the writing will be done between January and June. So the fall is largely some research, drafting a couple of sections that can be drafted ahead of time, land inventory and land use tables, the ADA assessments. Starting in January, towards the end of the year, early next year, I will work on the survey analysis, so analyzing the data that came out of the survey. Our next meeting is scheduled for January, which will be sort of reviewing the survey analysis, identifying trends, and then there will be another meeting in March to review priorities at large and for finalizing goals and review of a couple of sections. And then there'll be a couple of meetings to review sections, chapters, for your feedback, revision, etc. You don't have to memorize the schedule. I'll send this out to everyone,
Beautiful.
just so you have it in a format that's a little easier to read. This is just for the way my brain works. And then through the end of next year, will be a public meeting to review the drafted goals, final edits, and then submitting to the state for approval. My plan is to submit to the state a little sooner than we have to, just so if there's any revisions that are needed, we're not racing against the clock, that we provide ourselves with more than enough time to do those edits. Any questions based on timeline?
You might need one more meeting to go over the assets that they identified. I mean, you can even do it by Zoom for the ones that we asked them to go and think about from today.
Oh, yeah, following up on the homework.
Yeah, just like the open space sites that they, or if they meet on their own, they can get you that list so that we can start working on that.
Sure. Schedule steering committee meeting to review updated goals and spaces for improvement. And there's a whole, how many folks are signed up for the steering committee but not here today? I know Bruce, at least, because I've seen his name on
Bruce
Facebook.
Martin, we're missing 2 folks from Conservation Commission.
Okay.
It's a good number.
So those are 3 additional folks that might have other ideas and
Yes,
things. So, okay.
yes.
Make sure that we, and 2 from
But
Conservation.
I think you already have those, that contact information. I think they are on the,
Email.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce did tentatively say he was tentative for this meeting anyway. So
right.
Great. So I will work on getting that sort of follow up. So there'll be one additional meeting before the end of the year, and then there'll be one in January to review the survey analysis. Cool. I wanted to lay that out because I wanted to make sure that everyone knew this wasn't sort of like, this wasn't going to equate to another job in terms of like what the ask is. It's to provide sort of that community connection to the overall plan to make sure what's being drafted is accurate and sort of, factual around sort of spaces. You can find, from what I've been finding, there's a number of open spaces and recreation spaces that are easy to find. There's others that community members and folks in the neighborhood will know that might not be sort of publicly accessible or publicly known.
Right.
So surfacing those are important, particularly from an ADA assessment standpoint and identifying in the land use tables. And so I will work on getting that additional meeting scheduled. In terms of what I could use help with from a steering committee sort of perspective, is helping to promote the survey.
Okay.
So
Where can I find that?
I have plenty. So I have palm cards here that have a QR code to the survey as well as the link of where to find it. I have flyers that are a little bit bigger for people who might need a flyer. I have hard copies of the survey for people to fill out in hard copy, and I will just update, incorporate that data myself.
Anybody want?
It's on, if you go to OCPC's Facebook page, it's listed there. It's going to be going around on Buzz Around this weekend.
It's not a website.
The library, there's a website which I will, on the flyer as well as here, that directs you to a website. OCPC's website. There's a web page for the open space and recreation plan. The library has copies of the survey as well as the flyer.
They've already been given them?
I reached out to them. Yeah.
Nice.
And I did reach out to the Council on Aging.
Nice.
And there might be one other place that I reached out
Did you
to.
give them hard copies? From the COA?
Yes, the library. I haven't I haven't stopped by the COA yet. I did send the materials. I will be stopping by early next week with the actual
Yeah,
flyers.
they're like hard copies.
Yep. I've also emailed the are they the Cultural Commission?
Yes, they are.
I reached out to them
Yes.
They posted it it's also on the Whitman town pages, Facebook pages. It's going around.
Good.
Survey launched 3-ish weeks ago. We have 77 responses so far.
Okay. Yep.
With
Pretty good.
sort of with the buzz around putting it out this coming weekend, I do expect that number to grow. But my lofty goal, my sort of like stretch goal is much different than how many responses we'll probably get.
Right.
But I think if we have just a sort of a general representative response rate, that'll be good.
So if you could put on the agendas of the boards when they meet to promote to their,
Yes.
that would
Yes.
be really helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, as many folks from who either live, work in town, or utilize the green spaces, the open and recreation spaces, want to make sure that we're driving the survey. So
Yeah.
anywhere that you can promote this, get the word out would be
Okay. We
appreciated.
can do that. Sure.
And I can also send these take as many of these things as you want.
Oh
I have
yeah. We'll
stacks
take
of them.
Yeah. We'll take them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Take them all.
Yeah, we'll need them in our office.
Right. Yeah. We'll get 'em.
And I can send you all of the stuff electronically too. So you
Beautiful.
can share it through
Yep.
email and whatnot.
Yep. Yep.
Send.
And if you're working with the Conservation Commission and they have a list of properties that they want to acquire,
Yes, that's
we'll
where.
need that too.
Well, thank you. Yep, we'll definitely get back to you on that.
Great.
Wonderful.
Um,
You want to take?
and then the other way, so
Scroll on the Can you scroll the stuff on television?
Yeah, I can put
You know how you have the bulletin thingy?
Yeah, I can put it on our bulletin board. Yeah,
Yeah. You go on the bulletin
maybe
board,
make a
right?
PS.
And it's so pretty too. It came out really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
can-
is pretty good.
So the two things
Right.
that I can sort of use some help with from the steering committee is just getting the word out around the survey.
Okay.
The survey will be open for 4 months.
Okay.
Again, doing surveys during this time of year can be hard. We missed out on some of the summer events, and so trying to recoup.
Yes.
Having it open until sort of the first Friday in November. I think it's open until the 8th, I think.
November 8th?
November 8th. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
it closes.
all right.
Whatever that Friday is.
Okay.
It's my birthday.
And
Happy
then
birthday.
Thank you.
if there's any fall activities, I know Abington, for example, has a Oktoberfest event. I don't know if Whitman has any sort of like events in the fall that might be good to sort of, post this. Or,
Trying to think if we have anything on the docket.
Recreation was trying to plan a movie night in town hall in October.
Hey.
Like a spooky kids movie night.
That's a good idea.
Last year we did one in the winter. It was maybe like 50 people showed up. So we could put some. We run the projector in there and run a DVD, but we could like put the QR code up there and I could hand stuff out.
What about the schools? We always have a hard time getting into schools to get that captive audience. Like sometimes they'll have open houses where we could have the cards out for the parents to take, or
Okay.
some, I
Yeah.
don't know, the events that they might, but they're very, they're not as welcoming at the schools as I wish they were.
Yeah.
But they are the big users of.
Well, because the one thing I'm trying to get out of this sort of like community engagement, public involvement process is to get the perspective of all the different folks that utilize green spaces and
Yes.
going to the town park. Young people, students use that park. They may not always use it in ways that we want them to, but they're there and making sure that the green spaces and open spaces, recreation spaces are reflective of all the various needs and priorities of the various users. I'll be having an email out to a couple of the folks at Whitman Hanson High School.
Okay.
My daughter goes there.
Nice.
And so I'm hoping that provides me with an easy sort of
a little bit of an in. Yeah.
I've met with them a couple of times just on those needs. My daughter has told me I'm not allowed to go to her school. So
Why should you be any different?
might have to do it when she's not after hours, when she's not in school or whatever, half day or whatever. But really trying to think about young people, seniors,
Yes.
other community members that utilize these spaces in different ways.
Right.
So scouting,
Yep.
any of those organizations, if anyone has connections, baseball, those kind of groups.
Oh, yeah.
Even if we
Good
throw the
idea.
cards at them and the flyers, if we could get a little bit of buy-in from.
Okay, all
Um,
right.
And it helps the kids to understand, especially in the high school age, that they are going to be voters in 2-3 years, and it's time to start thinking civil-minded.
Right.
Yeah, I'll reach out to my colleague who's actually just over filming the select board meeting. Does a show with the Boy Scouts in Whitman, so
Excellent.
he has connections there. He's a former scout, so
Awesome.
I'll see what he can do.
Is it Guy?
Guy? Oh no, Guy no longer works there. He used to have a show with us though, but it's Paul Watson is
Okay.
older than Guy.
You'd be surprised how much work Eagle Scouts used to do
Yeah.
as their
An Eagle
projects.
Scout just built a beautiful little, not a gazebo.
Flag depository? Oh, no, different
on the
project.
Boulevard, yeah.
Oh.
There's an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh,
Yeah, it's a beautiful structure.
nice.
Yeah, we used to get them to build kiosks sometimes
Yep.
to, so.
Great. Lastly, public participation involvement. So we talked a little bit how to sort of like incorporate you all as steering committee into this process. Thinking a little more broader around how to involve the public
Yes.
in this. So I'm looking at doing. So obviously there's a survey that's out. I don't like to rely on survey data just based off of just survey data. I like to schedule focus groups as part of surveys because it allows you to get quantitative as well as deeper qualitative data. Surveys can only be so long before people stop filling them out. You can only get so many questions or gain so much information from a survey. Focus groups or interviews allows you to dig a little bit deeper. And so if you can think of whether here or later, think about specific targeted stakeholders who should be incorporated either by interviews or focus groups. And so that could be sort of like town staff. So if there are town departments and offices, commissions, boards, whatever, that I should reach out to and have specific conversations about this, dig deeper into these topics. I'm already looking at doing one at the senior center.
Yep.
Maybe something at the high school or one of the schools. Maybe have it be part of some sort of like interactive activity, so it's more participatory than just talking to me. And so if you can think of any like other stakeholders, it might be good to sort of connect with or speak to. So I'm sure. Let's see. Rec commission probably. There was.
Any EJ groups? Area to reach out to? Or?
I don't think so. None that sort of lit up on the map of what.
It's definitely DPW. They maintain the park and most other town properties, so.
Do you also have a rec commission that does any maintenance, or is it strictly DPW?
No, the Recreation Commission is mostly centers around like the town pool and the summer program that they run there, and we get grant funding for things like we put in some new picnic tables down there, but it's not a lot of maintenance at all, really.
A lot of the towns, with some, not all, but have the rec commissions maintain the ball fields.
Sure, I can
And then
help with
other
this.
towns
First,
have the
please, I'll watch your
DPW mowing them, so it
Yeah.
just depends.
Yeah.
on
It's kind of like a partnership. Like sometimes we allocate money in our budget
I
for
don't
them to
Use
maintain
voice
fields and
activation.
stuff.
Yeah. That's like a lot of them do
I
too.
don't know what
Yeah.
the hell that was.
Kathy, I remember when we met initially with Mary Beth and sort of
Right.
were talking about this process. You had mentioned Camp Alice Carlton.
Yes.
That's in Whitman.
So I can.
And is there a group that's working on that we should connect with?
Well, yeah. So let me just give you a quickie on that. So there's been a Camp Alice Carlton committee of which I am the chair. So
Congratulations.
Camp Alice Carlton land. Well, we've met for more than a year trying to decide what to do with this property. So there are 7 acres inside of Whitman, and there are 30 acres that are located in the town of Rockland. So for a year, the committee went back and forth and very varying opinions as to what to do with the property. Up until recently, whereby at the last meeting, there was sort of a general consensus to see if the town of Rockland would want to purchase the land because they have the McCarthy Farm Conservation, which this parcel abuts right to. So the idea being that the land would be still preserved as open space, yet it would be owned by the town of Rockland. So we are in the process of reaching out to Rockland. Rockland had come to Whitman some of these meetings to express their interest in possibly purchasing the land from us. That was like a year ago, and we were sort of like, no. And now we're thinking, well, you know what, let's reconsider that. So, but there's still going to be that portion in Whitman that is inside of the border that we would still want to, you know, do something with. But did I answer the question you asked?
Essentially.
Yeah, if you
So,
get some money.
long term, you're not looking to sort of like hold that in sort of like trust in the town of Whitman.
Well, so the problem is, so the land that resides in Rockland, we have no jurisdiction over.
Mhm.
So I think that's where the sticking point was. Like, it's not, we have no jurisdiction over
Mhm.
that. So I think people were initially not wanting to give up ownership of open space. And we get that, except our hands are tied as far as how to use it.
Yeah.
But I know the piece that abuts it, everyone is on board with maintaining that as a parcel of open space. So the hope being that there'd be a connectivity between Rockland and Whitman, and is it the Bay Circuit Trail?
It cuts through there.
Boom. So
You
I
can
think,
exit.
yes.
hmm
So
And that would be a win for you because you're getting the money, you get the open space preserved, and you don't have to deal with it. They can deal with it. If there's trash or drama, you call them.
Yeah, I was just wondering how we sort of communicate that as part of the open space plan as a goal.
right. So when Mary Beth and I first sat down with you, the idea was, okay, we have this parcel in Rockland. You know, we still own it. We're still going to own it, but things have changed since we last met.
It's a good idea, though.
Isn't it?
It is a good idea
Yeah.
Isn't it?
because it sounds like it's worthless to us.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be real. What the hell are we going to do with it?
Right. And so we're so fortunate that the potential buyer wants for it what we want for it.
Put it in the deed.
What's that? Yes.
Put it in the
Yeah,
deed.
deed restriction.
And-
Correct.
It
Yes.
is like
Done,
you're
done,
shrinking
done.
the border.
So we'll be so we'll be reaching out to the Wildlands Trust on that. We are actually, that's on our to-do list for this week.
Awesome.
So
And they did great work in Rockland with
So
the
you could
rail
put
trail and
like
everything.
a partnership
Yeah.
with Rockland.
they have a
for,
devoted
potential land acquisition.
committee over there.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think it would be in good hands over there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you know, Whitman can still
strategy
use it.
goal.
And they bought back land behind the dairy in Abington too. So like Rockland's always shelling out cash for that.
Well, yeah, I think
Yeah.
yeah. So had I answered the question?
Yeah, I think, we're going to create a goal around that. Or
Yeah.
strategy.
Let's see, where was I? So there's a public meeting that I was able to schedule as part of public participation involvement at the library
Excellent.
the evening of October 23rd. This provides an opportunity to sort of go through this slideshow, the slides that I passed out with the public, as also as a way to sort of promote sort of the survey before it closes. So
Excellent,
anyone
yeah.
who attends who hasn't filled out the survey in one of the many places that it's at is sort of there, hears about it, and can fill it out, whether a hard copy or online. Are there any other events or activities, groups, places I should reach out to sort of like connect with folks to talk about the open space plan, target them for, I don't know, an interview, focus group, meeting, chat, whatever.
Ryan, what do you think about having an interview?
Yeah, we could do like a informational interview at our studio that we can put out on cable, which are the biggest audience on our cable channel is seniors, but
Right.
then we also have a YouTube page that has, I don't know, not a ton of subscribers, but well, almost 2,000. So we could put it out there too, and
You could probably put it in the Whitman Hanson Express.
When's your town meeting for your special town meeting?
I think that's December 2nd.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Also, WATD. They like to cover stuff like this. I mean, it's in Marshfield, but everyone equates it with.
Yep. The region.
I think too, just thinking about this, taking it all in, it might be useful to sit down the whole conservation commission with you. Almost everyone is involved already, but still, just to have a one-on-one conversation, I think that might be helpful.
Yep. That'd be appreciated.
And they probably have goals and objectives
Yes.
of their own that
Yes,
we
exactly.
can
That's right.
incorporate.
And then planning board would review things after the fact if an idea came through, see if it's even feasible. But that would be after all the good ideas.
And I think the goal,
Bureau-
one of the goals of an open space plan is to sort of be in a position to go after grants
Right.
for
Yes.
these things, but also earmark or identify potential improvements, expansions, its preservation for CPA funds. So I know Whitman's a CPA community.
We are.
I voted on it
Yep.
when I first
Paying
moved
for
here.
half of this. Yes.
So if there's anything that's sort of like in the pipeline for that you want sort of like what's one word? Highlighted or amplified as part of the the open space plan. Those can be incorporated in there as well. Is there a community preservation committee?
Yes, there is.
Because I should probably
And
also
they
talk to
meet
them.
regularly. So, yep.
CPC. Great. I will reach out to that because I'm sure they also have their own sort of.
So Ryan Tressel, I believe, is the, I can
They
look you up.
meet Tuesdays at 5:30 still. I left that board because of the meeting time, so I know it's at 5:30.
Oh, okay. I can forward you along that contact.
I think Adam Somerville took my place, so I'm going to see him in like 6 minutes. So
Excellent.
Yeah, and then sort of lastly, the next meeting I have here, January, the date is to be determined because the idea was to review the summary of the survey.
Right.
However, Lori brought up a good point, so I'll be convening this group before that. And so I will send up. How do people... what's wrong with that? How do people prefer to schedule meetings with lots of people? Sometimes doodles don't always work. People don't like them. People
Don't
don't
like
always
what?
know how to fill them out. Doodles,
oh,
the scheduling tool. I've come across people who've never used them before.
Yep.
So it's sort of like you spend more time explaining how to do it than it takes for them to just maybe ask them like when are you available or when you're not available. So between utilizing you all here, are there any times between October and November that don't work? Or any times in October and November that don't work? Any vacations planned? Important meetings that we need to schedule around
The
here?
election.
I mean, yeah, and I'm going to be gone the whole first half of November anyway. So
Maybe October would be better.
October.
and I would keep the meeting times to before or at 6 if it's going to, especially if we're doing it on Tuesday. Later on in the week or a Monday, there's more flexibility. But Tuesday, a ton of people are already here. Like every board is here Tuesdays. So
So are we sort of
not every board. But
dependent on Tuesdays, or are we a little flexible in terms of like when?
doesn't matter to me.
No, I'm flexible.
I prefer not.
I'm already here
Tuesdays.
Tuesday, but I'm already here. I'm here till 7:30
Yeah, the
anyway.
Conservation Commission usually meets on Tuesdays, once or twice a month, so we're here.
So maybe Wednesday or Monday.
If it were to be another day, what times are we talking for you folks?
Anything
Yeah,
after like 5:30 is good for me. Or
Because we need someone to be here, though, right?
Oh, to
Also-
open the building, yeah.
Right, so that would be me.
I have a key
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I'm pretty open, or Tuesdays before or at 6 are fine too. I'm just
Okay. Yeah, I'm only saying because I teach part time at Bridgewater. I went there for my undergrad, and when I got my master's, they roped me in to teach part time. But I have a class Tuesdays, 4:45 to 7:25.
Oh, yike.
I told them we're not taking a break in the middle of class; we're just ending class early. They were open to that. However, 6 o'clock might be tough.
Yeah.
Or we just if Tuesdays were like preferable, I could make it work. But if you're open to either a Monday or a Wednesday,
We can do that.
Yeah, I'm good with that because Tuesdays for me at work is select board meetings here and in Hanson. So I was monitoring that while this meeting was going on, made sure that I stopped the recording and switched it back to our bulletin board. So Tuesdays are always busy for me, so I don't mind on one of the nights. So
So let me ask, Mondays and Wednesdays, what's the earliest anyone could do?
5:15. That's the earliest.
5:45.
Okay,
But even that's not
That's
a
iffy,
safe.
isn't it?
That's not a safe early.
yeah. And you, yeah,
But we'll
okay,
see.
yeah, okay, all right.
so would 6 be a safe early for you?
Yeah.
All right. So it's
Right,
6.
so like, yeah, that
So-
would just be preferable to me to,
Okay.
could get it earlier on.
So what I'll do is I'll send out an email to schedule that meeting with everyone, and I will include sort of like time slots for every Monday and Wednesday in October,
Hey,
just to make it easy. So
there we go.
which of these work for you?
Right,
One of them's a holiday, so I cut you down 3.
The 14th, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously. I won't include holidays.
right,
Yeah,
thank you.
so there's one
Yeah.
you don't have to do.
And we have one in November, 2 veterans. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my holidays.
me too. 'Cause
So that is basically the meeting. Kept it under an hour.
excellent.
I will send all of the things I promised to you via email.
Yep.
I will send out the email to schedule the next meeting, probably in the same email. Just cut down on the number of emails. And if there's anything you come up with as your travels through town that should be identified in the open space and recreation plan, let me know. The ones that are pulled out on the survey specifically are the town park, Memorial Field, Hobart and Harding's Ponds areas, and the courts and fields at the high school. If there's anything else in town that is sort of like town-owned recreation green space that should be included in these conversations, flag those. Let me know.
Okay.
But I'm sure some of them will come out in the survey anyway.